Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Making Connections, the BattleCON analysis show where I, your host, Marco DeSantos, try not to do so horribly at playing BattleCON Online. In the previous episode, we talked about 7 and how conditioning opponents lets you perform actions that may seem unsafe, but because you've conditioned them to do things, you are able to get away with certain things. So taking advantage of what your opponent thinks you will do ends up being really good in a game like BattleCon. So it might seem odd to you that this video is now currently like this. My mistake. But it's fine. Hi again, it's me. And you might be wondering why I'm no longer green screening. So the reason why the video was so laggy last time was apparently because of that chroma key and that green screen, so I kind of got rid of it for now so that it's not, I'm not doing 40 frames, like not even 40, that was like, what, 10 frames a second, Marco? So, hi, welcome back to this episode of Making Connections. I believe it's really interesting to look at other people's games, however, I have limited time today, so we have to not do that and just review one of my games instead. I have a really cool game for you, though. I played this sometime this week, and it was against Fast Hippie, who played the 7 that we were looking at before. And I feel like this was a really fun game to watch, and I feel like it would be really interesting to see how this works, because Rifflem is a character that I play a lot. Some people might even say he's my current main, and 7 is an interesting character as well. One thing about Rifflem, though, that people have to understand...
Chosen, then so be it.
So be it. One thing about Rifflem that you have to understand is that he can build against the enemies he's fighting against. So in this game, I end up building like high damage and dodgy. And you'll see a few good reads here and there, but we'll see. So the thing about 7 is that she has a lot of dodge attacks, but my Alchemic Grass is actually faster than most of the things that she can do. I think the only thing that's not as fast is like Yellow Grasp or something. But my opponent decides to do a Detached Dodge, and this is really strong on his part because Detached gave him like, what, 2 free force while he dodged? That's literally better than Switch. However, that extra power on the Grasp ends up being quite powerful. So now my Grasp is a 1 range power 3 priority 6 attack, and this is really, really good because in the late game, 7 can't afford to take a lot of damage at high speeds. So as long as I get her low enough, I should be in the winning position here. And that's the great thing about Rifflem and why I like playing him a lot, because your knowledge of the matchup can heavily dictate how you end up building your character. And that usually results in you getting huge advantages that a lot of other characters don't get. So against a character like 7, I want to be able to hit hard and hit fast. So why am I going slow? This is because 7 also hates being the faster character. So I'm taking advantage of that. By using Residual Shot, I'm able to buff up my shot. And hopefully counter whatever attack she's planning to do. If it's like an orange strike. Forgive me, I don't know all of 7's style names. So it's a red drive. This ends up being an okay trade. I didn't anti any of my reagents on top because I don't actually need to put any extra reagents on shot. All that's left is priority and range, and shot doesn't need those things really. Especially on Rifflem, who has like range plus 0 to 1 on all of his styles except substantial. So I'll hit him back for 3 damage, and it looks like 7 is in the lead. This is absolutely fine though. 7 is a character who... well, it's not absolutely fine, but Rifflem is a character who is able to come back quickly because he ramps up and he's a build-up character. Though I think personally that that's not the optimal way to play, depending on the character you're fighting against. Some people like World Champion Charles would say that doing install is one of the better ways. But I'm not as good as Charles, so I play my way, which is to just play good attacks repeatedly over and over again. And, yeah. So this is an experimental drive. My opponent will usually be faster than me, especially now that he's used a priority. So I'm giving myself ranged. This is very important because if he does a reserved burst, which is green style 1 burst, I'm able to counter it with the range. I'm just worried that now that he's anti-power, he'll be able to break through my stun guard 3. So I'm just gonna go all out. If my opponent's gonna anti-priority and power, I'm gonna anti-power and priority. I power and stun guard. So my opponent does I forget the name of this style. Remote strike, which allows her to dodge back. So she dodges back, which is unfortunate for me because, well, it's a remote strike.
Leave me alone.
Okay, I'll leave you alone. So she'll dodge back. She'll hit me for 5. That's a lot of damage. Oof. And I will drive into range 1.
Let's begin.
Or no, I will stay at range 2 because 7 hates it when you're at range, right? And range 2 is actually one of Rifflam's best ranges because he's able to easily reach range 2 using every single one of his styles. So it's actually optimal for this to happen. Now my opponent has access to burst, but now I have Alchemic Strike. Or sorry, I now have Alchemic, which allows me to dodge all bursts. Oh, I also put the priority reagent on drive. Now my drive is decently fast. Again, playing into that game plan. And here, this is a really interesting beat. So I'm just thinking, I want to get out of range of 7. I want to go back. But then this happens. We both decided that we wanted to dodge away. So we're both dodging and we clash. And I'm thinking, what can I do here? So I end up playing install and he ends up playing shot. And then we clash again. I'm like, okay, I don't want to get hit by shot. Now she has no way to hit me and it's a free burst. But she also bursts. So nothing happens. And finally, I think we just end up both missing. Oh my gosh. So that was a really interesting clash chain wherein we just both ended up doing nothing. And this is tying in line with the previous lesson. Because in the previous lesson, we talked about conditioning. I end up clashing 7 multiple times this game. Like, way too many times this game. And that ends up resulting in one of the really, really important things is that my opponent gets scared to dodge. And it's really funny because it ends up like, basically my opponent gets to dodge once, I think. So you might be wondering why I'm doing residual dodge. Like, shouldn't you be using residual for something else? The important thing about residual here is at the end of beat move 1 allows me to dodge the opponent, then reposition myself into a good positioning. Oh, by the way, we clash here again. Ooh. So this is really, really, really interesting. Now I'm faster than her. It doesn't really matter at this point because she's playing an undaunted shot. So I deal 4 damage and he deals 3. But my shot is getting really, really strong now. If you look at it, my shot is now I think it's a 1 to 4, 5, 4.
Step.
That's pretty good, right? Because 7 can't deal with getting damaged fast. So now if I do a substantial shot, it'll deal like 6 damage at 6 priority. 7 can't easily dodge or do anything about that. So that was a good dodge beat on my part. We're both getting pretty low. However, it's fine because so long as 7 is low enough for me to kill her, that's the important part. So of course here I'm wondering, oh, is she gonna dodge? Is she gonna do something scary? And then I forgot that she had friendly, which is a really powerful style that prevents opponents from retreating. And it gives your style +1/+1 power and priority. So I'm like, okay, this is a relatively safe beat. If she dodges or if she does a burst, I'm able to retreat freely. And I'm like, okay, oh no, she's going fast. I'll anti some priority on top. And I'm thinking, I wonder what this attack is. Why is she trying to go fast? I didn't know she was gonna do a friendly strike here, and it's just a serendipitous encounter or a serendipitous thing that my Alchemic Grasp actually hard counters this friendly strike. And this ends up being a very important thing in this matchup because friendly strike is not faster than my Alchemic Grasp, that's for sure. But the on-hit effect on on Grasp allows me to push 7 one space, which makes friendly strike miss. So even if I can't retreat, this Alchemic Grasp counters the friendly strike. Amazing! It's so good! And I'm really impressed at how that ended up working. Not because I was a good player or something, but it just ended up working the way it did. Alchemic Grasp ended up being such a powerful attack pair this game. So what am I doing with this transformative strike? Well, I'm just thinking that my opponent hasn't really been bursting a lot, and I'm like, okay, she's probably not gonna burst now. So we attack, and then we clash again. So I actually played this with the express intention of clashing her dodge once again. It seems that my opponent keeps doing detached dodge. And now, this is where I make a big mistake. I could have actually done drive here to clash this first, but I completely forgot that detached has range. See, she's been pairing it with dodge the entire game, so I kept thinking, oh, the dash has no range, but it does. So I end up eating 3 damage here when I could have not, and that's quite unfortunate. And this is really, really bad for me. 7 now has Terrified in her hand, so if I don't kill her in 1 hit, a Terrified shot will absolutely decimate me. But remember, 7 now has 20 billion force on top of me. And she can do, with Feeling, which is her overdrive finisher that she selected, it has Soak 4, so I can't execute her right now safely. So I do the experimental drive. It's gonna have Stun Guard 5. If she hits me for 5 damage... Oh, by the way, Clash again. Most of these clashes are actually highly intentional, by the way. So now my opponent has no recourse but to do Absorption. So this is a really scary beat for me, personally, because
let's begin.
Depending on what 7 does, she will kill me. Because next beat she'll have Power +2, that means almost any single attack she does will kill me. But on the other hand, almost every single attack I do will kill her. Mostly because of doing Alchemic and doing Power and doing just all of the bonuses I get, man. It's kind of crazy. So I'm still scared of with Feeling here. It can heal her. Well, no, not really heal her, but it can give her Soak 4. So I'm doing substantial drive here because I'm thinking I want to kill her. I want to be able to just destroy my opponent right now. I've stopped trying to clash the dodge now because it's really, really advantageous for me for her to get rid of her dodge. So I'm thinking, what's this attack? What's this attack? Why is she going fast? So I'm going to anti some priority. And this ends up being a huge mistake because I keep anteing all of my stuff on top of this attack, thinking, oh, she probably can't do much about it because she's attacking me and she's committed a grave error. So I'm doing Sharpening, right? Because I'm attacking and doing all of this stuff, and this is the big mistake I make because I end up not having enough force to do stuff next beat. And this is quite a bad deal. My opponent has to dodge behind me because I have enough range to deal with most of her stuff. So either way, she'll end up at a similar range to this. Besides, 7 wants to be adjacent anyway, so it's fine. Oh my goodness. Oh, by the way, that's a 1 to 2, 5, 10 priority attack. Oh, Rifflum. Rifflum's so fun. So now it's beat 9. This is actually a pretty long Rifflum game. Most of my Rifflum games end by this point. Usually beat 8, I'm done. However, we've both been playing kind of defensively, which kind of makes sense because 7 is a counter-attacker. So it's beat 10. What do I do? So I'm going really fast right now. My opponent can't actually do much. And if I anti-power on top of this, the Terrified won't work, right? But I'm actually waiting for my opponent to do something first, so that I can counter anti properly. So now that my opponent is doing priority, I'm actually gonna do priority as well, because if she goes faster than me, I think I might die. So my opponent does a friendly strike, and I do the Alchemic Grasp once again. So I'm thinking, oh man, I'm gonna grasp her into my range, until I remember that friendly actually advances start of beat into me. So she will advance, and then I will grasp her away once again. And this is looking really rough for 7. 7's now in the corner with no access to her burst play. I'm Rifflum, so literally all of my attacks have range 1 to 2 at the very least. And it's just gonna end up not being a very good game for 7 if she doesn't get to predict me here. Now 7 is in a really absolutely bad 50-50 position. She has to choose whether or not I'm gonna go fast or whether I'm gonna go slow, right? Because my fastest attack is priority 7. I think I'm gonna set it here.
Should do.
Wait, why did I do this? Oh, right.
Excellent.
Because this attack clashes the one attack that can kill me, which is Heated Drive Anti-Priority. I didn't want to deal with it. So by doing this, I'm able to easily dodge back and beat her. So my opponent now has to pick. After this clash, will Marco go fast by doing shot, or will he go slow by bursting? And that's a 50-50 that he has to decide on. And I think it's a really interesting beat. This is a really close game, by the way, because I will die this beat if I guess wrong. So it's a pretty fun beat, in my opinion. However, my opponent guesses that I'm going fast, which is the wrong guess. I'm able to dodge backwards
Away.
and win the game. So I dodge back for 1 space, my opponent misses her attack, and I'm able to get in and whack 7 for 2 damage, which is more than enough to kill somebody at 1 life.
No!
Don't take it
That's
too hard.
impossible.
Don't take it too hard. So that was a really interesting Riflim game in my opinion. There was a lot of stuff that makes Riflim good there. However, notice that despite the fact that I clashed her multiple times on purpose and stuff, it still ended up being a 50-50 at the end of it all. Mostly because I made a big mistake. So I was thinking, I should probably just clash Heated, Drive, whatever. Until I realized that Heated anything would kill me. So that's one thing that I made a mistake on. I should have just gone fast. Because my opponent in no way, shape, or form would have done the grasp at the very start to clash me. Because that was a big read, you know, because that grasp would have lost to both the shot and the burst plays. So that was my mistake, and I shouldn't have thought of doing the clash. If I had just done shot first, I would have had a significant advantage going into that, because my opponent wouldn't be able to do much, because I'd be able to clash the strike, and then I would be able to burst back and win it. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much how that Riflim game went. I was very proud of that game, actually. Riflim is a character who benefits a lot from dodging and benefits a lot from being able to manipulate how his opponents work. There was some conditioning there. My opponent, you know, kept getting their dodge clashed and was able to, like, you know, read that very well and end up clashing a lot of the dodges. Oh, by the way, that's just the game. So yeah, if you guys like this video and want me to play more games, in fact, I was planning to play some Kimbe earlier, but I couldn't find people to match up with me. Remember, my time zone's a bit different from everyone else. So if you guys want me to play some games with a specific character, please tell me in the comment section down below. If you have some replays you want to send to me, please send me an email at mechanicritic@gmail.com so that you guys can talk to me and find out how to send those replays so that I can analyze them. Of course, if you guys like this video, please consider hitting the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell notification button so that you get appraised and you're up to date to all of the Level 99 Games news, gameplay, and otherwise that we'll upload to this channel. Without much else to say, don't forget your special action, and thank you, World of Indians. Thank you, and good night.